Hello there. My name's Steve Kirby. Never done this before. Never done a YouTube video or anything like that. But it's 2nd of January now, and amongst resolutions and stuff, there's something going on which I can no longer ignore. And I've been doing nothing about it for so long. So what I've done, one of my resolutions is that I have resolved to no longer do nothing. And the subject in question is surveillance, principally government surveillance. Now I don't know what I can do, or I can usefully do as yet, but the point is that doing nothing is doing something. Doing nothing is allowing it to happen. By doing nothing, I am complicit in the construction of the surveillance state, and I'm effectively giving my permission and condoning it. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that anymore. Like I say, I'm not really quite sure what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do what I can. Now the thing I'm going to, there's lots of people who are concerning themselves with internet privacy, and I agree with internet privacy. For instance, I've recently installed Tor browser on my computer. I don't know much about computers, and I'm hoping that will help, but I don't know really. But I figure it's better than doing nothing. So like I say, I'm no longer going to do nothing. But the thing I'm going to attack specifically is something that is particularly relevant to me. Is I'm going to question, attack, and fight the automatic number plate recognition system, which has been installed in this country and is being installed in other countries around the world, but not quite to the same extent in this country of the United Kingdom, obviously. I recently discovered that there is no legal basis for this system. There was no Act of Parliament passed, so it doesn't really have any legal validity. Now, this has troubled me for a long time, and like I say, I'm going to start to do something about it now. The principle is the key here. I'm not a criminal, and the great majority of the British public are not criminals. And yet, wherever they go, pretty much the entire British population, wherever they go in the United Kingdom, so long as it's a main road or a motorway, it's not just motorways, it's main roads as well, and quite a lot of other roads, somebody knows where you've been. You know, most of that information will never be used, it will never be needed, but it'll be there. And I believe in the principle of anonymity. Sometimes it's nice just to go somewhere and be somewhere where nobody knows where you are. You know, that's just a particular quirk of mine. I like to know that sometimes, and that used to be the case. You know, when I grew up in this country, that was the case. It's not for any criminal or subversive or secretive means. It's just nice to be anonymous. And that piece of human experience has been removed by that. Of course you can go places without your car and stuff like that, you know, and there are still quite a number of places that you can go and be anonymous, so long as you don't have a mobile phone in your back pocket. But that right, that piece of freedom to be anonymous, has pretty much been removed so long as you're in your car. Now, I know having a car isn't an absolute right, and we still have to have number plates and all that kind of stuff. But automatic number plate recognition is a mass surveillance tool. Now just think about that for a second. It's a mass surveillance tool. It means the authorities are watching everybody. No matter what they've done, they can be completely law-abiding, as most people are, and yet the information is there. Now, the arguments are for combating terrorism or child abduction or rape or murder will always be there. But that's what you have in a free society. To have a free society means to go about your business unhindered and not to be under surveillance all the time. Now, I'm not sure if I'm making a very good case of this, and my arguments will improve as time passes and I get more into this. But do we really want to live in a country where we are all under surveillance all the time? I was talking to one of my best friends about this the other day, and it was dispiriting because he didn't agree with me. He really didn't agree with me. He trusted the authorities implicitly. He wanted terrorists and everybody else to be watched, and he was accepting that he would be watched at the same time. And he accepted that. And it was depressing to me. This is a guy that I grew up with. He's my oldest friend. And we couldn't agree on this. And he's a normal person, with a family and a job and a house and a car and all this kind of stuff. A normal citizen, and he's not a criminal, and yet he doesn't mind being watched like a criminal, and he doesn't think that I ought to mind either. But I do mind. I mind a lot. This is not the country that I grew up in 30 years ago. This was a free country, and we are sliding into a surveillance and police state. As always, in the best of intentions. The best of intentions to catch child murderers and terrorists and everything else. But the authorities have convinced us in order for them to catch these bad people, they have to watch all of us. And to me, it's terrifying. As I'm looking into this camera, there's on the screen that I can see, there's a little box surrounding my face. And I guess that's a sort of facial recognition software. The camera needs to guess where my face is. But I heard the other day that they were thinking of installing facial recognition software cameras at head height in shopping centres and streets. So whenever you go into shop, someone's going to know. A lot of this stuff is already in place and people have already accepted it. But a lot of it has never been discussed. Automatic number plate recognition was not passed through an Act of Parliament, as far as I can tell. I was saying to this friend of mine today, who's got 2 small boys, I was telling him that his sons will not thank him for bequeathing him a society like that. And he doesn't see the danger. He thinks I'm being anti-establishment. But, I'm not in a traditional sense, I'm not as anti-establishment. I mean, my politics are economically to the left, but socially to the right. So I don't really have a traditional party. But, you know, I'm not anti-capitalist, I'm not anti-socialist. I think capitalism is a reasonable way to organise society, as is redistribution of wealth. So I'm not a lefty, I'm a libertarian. And I want to live in a free country. The free country I lived in when I grew up. Now I don't know who's going to see this video. I'm going to post it on YouTube and see what I get. And I welcome people who disagree with me, and I'd like to engage with them, and I want to change their mind. You know. But what I also want is, I want to hear from people who agree with me and can help me frame the arguments, which will help us win the argument. Because we can't fight the technology's there. You can't put the genie back in the bottle, you know. But what you can do is we can come to some sort of agreement over what is acceptable and what isn't. And at the moment, as far as the authorities are concerned, everything is acceptable. And it is so easy to collect data, they might just as well. They don't need our permission. It's quite obvious. Automatic number plate recognition was brought in without our permission. And nobody complained. Well, I'm complaining. And I'm going to do something about it. So I need your help. I need your help. I need you to come up with non-divisive ways of convincing people that the authorities, like all authorities everywhere, are never to be trusted completely. You know, authorities are normal people, you know, with families and children and debts and mortgages and all the other things. But the authorities, the law enforcement authorities, the police and the security services, their remit is security. That's their job. Our job is to keep a free society. That's what our job is. And we're not doing our job. We're not doing it. They're doing their job. And they're saying liberties don't matter. Freedom doesn't matter. Security is the only thing that matters. But what about security from the state? For the state to hide its mistakes and to target and attack people who try to expose those mistakes. In East Germany, the Stasi's unofficial motto was to know everything. And why was that? Because knowledge is power. If you know everything about somebody, you know everything that they've done wrong in the past. Everything that's shameful or secretive or also illegal. But being law-abiding is not a static state. Laws change. What was legal yesterday is not legal today. I think it was under the last Labour administration, they passed 3,000 new pieces of legislation. So that's 3,000 more ways that you can break the law than you could before. And I'm not having a go just at the Labour Party, you know, the Conservative Party, despite being elected in 2010 on a platform of rolling back the surveillance state, have, like everybody, like every administration, when it comes down to it, when they get into power, they go, oh, actually, all this surveillance is quite useful, really. And they keep it, and they justify it. And they talk about this ridiculous argument of a balance a balance between liberty and security. But there's no balance. What happens is that whenever anything happens, this is a libertarian state, this is the totalitarian state. When anything happens, a bit of liberty goes. And then something else happens, a bit more, and a bit more, and a bit more. It never goes back the other way. So we are heading inexorably towards this. It pains me to say it. It breaks my heart to say it. But if we don't do something, we are heading towards a totalitarian future. And I know it sounds over dramatic. You know, we haven't got a very malign government. I mean, some people may hate it. You know, I hate the Tories, blah blah blah, whatever it is. You know, they're not malign at the moment, but they are building the infrastructure for total control. Just think about it. If somebody knows wherever you go, who you see, what websites you visit, what people you telephone, what people you meet, what meetings you go to, if you attend Labour Party meeting or Conservative Party meetings, somebody's going to know that, and they're going to know they're going to know from that which way you vote when you go into the ballot box. So the ballot box is not secret, it's open, because they say, oh, look at him, he's been on the Labour Party website 200 times in the last year, we know he's going to vote Labour. And like I say, this isn't an anti-Tory, anti-Labour thing. You know, the Labour Party have just elected Jeremy Corbyn. You know, an old-fashioned left-winger, an old-fashioned socialist. Now, if he gets in as Prime Minister, it'll be the left that oppresses us, rather than the right. It doesn't matter who it is. This friend of mine I was talking to, he works in financial services. And I should have said to him, you know, if you get a hardcore socialist government in that wants to come and take all your money away and redistribute it to other people, you then might protest. But he couldn't see that he was ever going to be on the wrong side. And it's quite easy to see he could be on the wrong side, you know. So I said I was going to do 10 minutes, I've done 20, so it's too many. So it's too long. So I'm going to leave you now. But just to people who don't agree with me, please think about it again. And to the people who do, help me. Help me to ensure a free society for our children. Thank you.